Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to our Last Epoch dev stream. As always, I'm your host, Mike. How's it going, everybody? Was there a little hot mic at the start there? Sorry about that. The big hot mic here now. Get it? Pew, pew, pew. Anyways, yeah, we're streaming as usual. I'm back playing my Frozen Orb Fireball Sork. And I had a little help revamping a bit, so we've upped our game as far as our gear is concerned, and we've taken a bunch of stuff, and we're just mashing it all together, having some fun. Our resistances are still a little shoddy, but we'll work to shore those up as we go here. If this is your first time here, please be welcome. Hang out. We stream for charity. All of our money from the stream goes directly to whoever's above my head. Oceania right now. They help save oceans, which is great. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in chat and put an @Last Epoch game preceding your question so I can see it quick and easy. And then we do have a couple. I do have a specific build that I'm actually following right now. Roughly. I'm mostly following it. But I'll post it in chat so you can see what I'm doing. Because I don't think the build planner link is set up properly, because I forgot to do that. Eep. But we're gonna go look for I think the poison res from Reign of Dragons. So we're gonna try and accomplish that. It's our first goal. Okay. With that out of the way, how's everybody doing this week? We got Halloween coming up. Oh, this is a perfect opportunity to dress up, and I forgot. Is this the Halloween stream? We always have this on hand. It's always nearby. My magical bee wand is bent. It's okay though. We've got antenna to make up for it. Lovely. All right. I'm just gonna start easy. We're gonna see if we can finish this off in the easy mode. Let me look at some questions here. People taking this seriously. How's it going, everybody? Hi, Aaron. Nice to see you. Okay. How's our survivability here? We're still doing this. This is hectic. You know, one of the big differences now in this build is we really have a lot of leech, which is providing us a lot of health back, which is great. I think that was a big thing I was missing before. Still a classic bunch of fireballs. Gotta love it. Our loot filter is not good. That's okay. New patch when it's ready. Can you show any spoiler about how cold death animations or arrow attacks look now? I don't have anything specific for that ready to go. But we might be able to get something soon for that. I know we have new things, like there are new effects there that we do have ready. I just don't have any clips prepared for it. I do have a clip today, though. I'm a little prepared. Did I give a how are you now there? Rafa's Gaming Clan? How are you now? Good and you. Not so bad. Alright. You could have dressed a shirt and tie. That's scary as... Yeah. Oh. Shirts and ties. No thank you. Okay. Sorcerer remake when? I mean, it's pretty sweet. I'm having a ton of fun with it myself. I don't think it needs a remake. There's a few key things that I think could use some love. Specifically, just teleport. Honestly, I think that's. I love shooting really far though, like this. Suckers. Alright. This is the foreshadowing to buff certain B unique items. I mean, I think that some of the B unique items might be... I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, actually. Development on B-related content is not over. There's a vague statement about it. Hello, Falconer yet? No, Falconer will come with 1.0 along with Warlock and Rinemaster. So you have to wait a little bit for those, but they'll be really good, so it'll be worth it. Fix the dragon with the loot drop at the delay. Yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it? That happened to us last stream, actually. I left as the loot was dropping. Alright. Is there a plan? Is the plan still currently to have 0.9 released before the end of the year? I mean, that's the hope. There's always the hope it'll release tomorrow, but it won't. So we'll see what happens. We're just getting all of it done as soon as possible. We really have no specifics on timelines for anything right now. It's just as soon as possible and when it's ready. For literally, when is blank? As soon as possible and whenever it's ready. Lizard, hello, how are you? Welcome with your raiding party. I did see that at the start. I was just off camera at the time. But welcome, and welcome everyone that came with you. Does EHG plan to limit some interactions for the co-op environment? For example, with Minion Lich? For example, with Minion, Lich has access to dead... I see what you're saying. Death Seal, 300% more minion damage, but doesn't have access to Dreadshade from Necro, and other way around. With co-op, it seems the minion-focused party will be able to use both. Any thoughts? Yeah, I think this falls into the category of a well-coordinated group should be able to be a little bit more effective than solo players, or a well-coordinated group will be more effective than a poorly coordinated group. You know, like there are intrinsic synergies for playing together and being able to coordinate your group based on the fact that you're playing together. I think is a good thing to have in the game. And as always, if there's anything that's like degenerate combinations causing problems with overlapping buffs like that, there's a possibility that we may look at combining two buffs into one so that they share a slot. For example, something like that, what we could do, if this specific situation was very much out of hand, one possibility of something we could do is have that the effect that both of those provide be a specific named buff, so turn it into an ailment and give it a specific effect. If that makes any sense. So it's like how you can't have two instances of haste at the same time. So we can put haste in a lot of places, but if haste didn't exist and it was all just increased movement speed, then you could stack them up and it would go crazy. So what we can do is we can force things not to stack by giving it a specific name. So it's going to come down to testing and is it a problem in proper applications of it. If it's not crazy over the top, or not like significantly more powerful than everything else and the obvious right choice, you know, that sort of thing, then yeah, it's unlikely that we would change it. It's also important to note, I think, that things that are like good and useful and functional on your own when you're playing solo, and then they get even better when you play in multiplayer, are probably really good and positive to have. So we don't want people to be forced to respec in between. So especially one thing that we wouldn't want to do is make it so that the like you have your multiplayer build that was like just completely unplayable, literally, not as a jokingly completely unplayable, but actually completely unplayable solo, as like a top tier multiplayer build character, but really awful solo. That's the sort of thing that we would like to avoid being ubiquitous. So I guess what I mean there is just like, it's fine if that happens sometimes, but because the respec system isn't instant, there's a little bit of pressure to have that not happen everywhere. If that makes any sense. I saw a sweet clip of someone using the the mortars to the towers to like kill them with retaliation damage. I thought that was really cool. They just like go into the echo or at the start, have pop up all their defenses, retaliate, kill. I thought that was cool. I liked it. I look cute. Oh, thank you. Happy to be here. Yeah. McMagic asks, do you think we'll get a heads up to release time once it is decided? It would really suck to have less than a week's notice. Yeah, as soon as we actually have a, not as soon as, but we don't have even an internal release timeline yet. So there's not like there's a date that I'm not sharing or anything like that. And especially because it has been quite a while and it is such a big patch, I can see there being a little bit more lead up than usual. But I'm not sure the exact how that's going to roll out. It's going to happen. We do try and give as much notice as we can, and more than once I've found out a release date by the public announcement of something, or I've been like, when did we decide on that? And they're like, well, this morning. I'm like, oh, great. Like we try not to hide these things. It's sort of like we decide and then we tell you. And usually it comes down to, what's the absolute earliest we could get this out? We've got a while still. I know people are like really anxious, and there's a lot to do still. And I know people are under NDA for the for multiplayer testing, but if they could talk, I'm sure they would say that while it's going really, I don't want to put words in their mouth. I probably shouldn't say this. What I think about the multiplayer is that it's going really well, but there's a lot of stuff to do still. And releasing now would not be a positive experience. All right, hello. Are there going to be some set upgrades since the vast majority is garbage? I mean, yeah, so set items in, if we're talking about like late game builds, peak power options, and min-maxing sort of thing, yeah, they're very rarely used. And even in leveling builds, they're niche, let's call them. I would say that there's some general changes coming to a few of them, but there's not sweeping changes that are planned as of yet. We haven't done the major balance pass 4.9 yet as well. Like we've been doing things. We've been going through and making sure that there are, we've done an audit of every single ability, passive, item, literally everything that can change the way your character plays in any way. We've done an audit of, both in the terms of bugs, wordings, everything. So there's just this like all sorts of stuff that are just getting fixed, and in some cases that's going to improve things as far as power goes, because there's like a bug that no one noticed because you can't really tell that it's happening or not. There's quite a few of those actually, and yeah. Set items. So yeah, set items. fell under that, but also we haven't done the balance pass yet because not all of the systems are implemented. So like dungeons aren't implemented yet in multiplayer, not fully, and they are hopefully right around the corner now. They're pretty close. They're very close, and so like we don't even know how multiplayer balance in dungeons is at all yet, because like maybe there's some set that's unbelievable in multiplayer dungeons and we just don't know about it yet. And there's not, but like until even the features are implemented for multiplayer, it's hard to even look at it from an overall balance perspective. We can look at it from a single player balance perspective, but not both simultaneously. So we need to have the features before we can balance them really. Morning, Sir Heck. How's it going? Yeah, don't forget to put at Last Epoch game in the question. I'll see it, but I see this one. How often do patches come out in your internal testing? So it depends. There's different like levels of internal testing, I want to say. Like there's if you're in the development editor, extremely frequently, like multiple times a day, technically, I guess you could call it. We do also have a nightly build environment that QA works in, and then we have a like our CT patch environment that's usually every couple weeks, I think, right now. And then we do hotfixes in there too that are more frequently. But they're not really like full patch releases. They're very haphazard by comparison to our full patches. Haphazard might be the wrong word. Streamlined. There's less like we take less time and care in making sure that the build releases that are going out to CTs, and even less so as you come further down that list, are completely bug free and solid. Like so we spend less time testing and going over them. When we do a full major patch release, like for 0.9, there will probably be a couple weeks between when we lock the code base and release, when we're just doing like testing and minor bug fixing only. Yeah. Oh, did you come to a conclusion with mass market system? I remember that you have told that you wanted a bizarre system, but that was declined. Yeah, a long time ago we were a while ago we were proposing a bizarre style system that we have since scrapped based on for the discussions we had, looking at other games that use systems related to it, community feedback, general testing, like just things that we looked into it more and more and more and realized that it wasn't wasn't what we were going for. I think it could have worked really well for our game. It would have just changed how the game played, and it wasn't what we were aiming for really. As far as like a mass market system, it's kind of hard to describe what that is and details about what trade's going to be. So there's no details about what trade I can give you right now. The only thing I will say is the same thing I've said before, which is if the goal that you're hoping for of the play style you're hoping for is to be able to play the market and have it be a primary function that you're doing is playing the market, and like you probably won't have a great time in our trade system if that's your goal. Like if you're like, oh, I want to just log on and just do some trading for a few hours and nothing else, you're gonna have a really tough time doing that. Our primary gameplay that we're focusing on is this right here: is going out and killing monsters. And that's unchanged. So none of that's new information. At least I hope it's not. It shouldn't be. It's so crazy how slow that is. That warp there, as soon as the echo ends, in multiplayer is so fast, and I love it. Like, you can get through the portal before the portal's even visually on screen. It's great. Of the many skills that have been culled, did you ever have to cull a personal favorite thematically? No. I'm trying to think. Like, there's different levels of cult. So, like, sometimes there's some that have, like, come close that have never actually seen the light of day that we've culled. And some of those were pretty great. But yeah, no, there's nothing that was ever like, ooh, I really want this, that was in the game and had to get pulled out. Like, there's not a lot of skills in that category really. There's Fire Aura, which got converted to a triggered ability. There's Boreal Wrath. That's a deep cut. If anyone remembers that, glad you played the Kickstarter build, which was a primalist ability that's basically just in place Fury Leap. Like, it's Fury Leap, but you don't move. It was kind of cool. Thicket Blades, that was another primalist ability. It basically just sets up an AoE retaliation on you, like a stance or a stance. I'm trying to think of other abilities that have been cut. Healing Wind, another primalist ability, got moved on to the activated ability for Spriggan, Summon Spriggan's activated ability. And a lot of primalist abilities got cut. It's the older classes, really. Does anyone else... Oh, the stances! Yes, thank you, Ken. I was going to say, does anyone else know of an ability that got cut? I did enjoy the stances. I think it's a cool playstyle, and I'd still like to see something... like a stance dance ability get made somehow. I'm not sure the best way to do it so that it's fun. One of my friends played a lot of Udyr in League of Legends, and several versions of stance abilities that we looked at were tried to kind of emulate that gameplay style a little bit. And you can kind of get close to it actually with the transform system, because you can go from form to form a little bit. So you can kind of get a little bit of that feeling here and there. What else? What other abilities do people remember that were cut? Let's go boot up an old build. Let's go boot up 0.45 and see what's there. Gross. I want to say Ice Thorns, but it keeps finding its way back in the game. Yeah, it is a it's like the cockroach of abilities. It just keeps surviving somehow. Who knows how? You make Katarina ulti with Rogue. Yeah, it's funny. Sometimes there are abilities that get pitched, or just abilities that make it into the game and we don't even notice, where like you can just like build a LOL character sometimes and you're like, whoops. We recently, I mean, we're still in the prototyping stage for it, but one of the abilities that we're still not even into prototyping yet. We're still in like early design stages with Warlock. But one of the abilities in there has someone pointed out that you were like, this is a reskinned ability of so and so in LoL, and we're like, oh my god, it is. How did that happen? See, it happens sometimes. Sometimes it just comes from like, you played a lot of this other game for a long time, and when you design an ability, it's just like, oh, I've had fun doing something somewhere. playing this style. I want to make that style happen again. And it just kind of happens by mistake sometimes. It's pretty cool. I don't know if that's T1 or TI. Do I watch... I don't know what that is. Do I watch TI or T1? TL? This is how little I watch it. I don't know what that is. J4 Garen Pally, yep. There's flag and drag and spin to win. You bought the game a month ago to 250 hours. That's a lot of time playing. That's a lot of time. I'm glad you're having fun. We're doing pretty great here with damage. I think we could even bump up to a higher difficulty here. We could probably go to empowered. I'm quite happy with how this build's progressing. None of my uniques have legendary potential on them, so I'm really hoping to find LP versions of some of these. I guess I could go over the changes that were made. We're still pretty similar. It may look basically like the same stuff's happening as last week, but like a fair bit of changes happened. I can go through it. I did post the link, the build link. We jumped up in level 2. But I dropped below 300 mana. And I've got an idol that activates on 300 mana or more. And I just realized right as we went live, I'm like, oh god, I'm below 300 mana. Ah. It's fine though. Are there plans to add an item by type, which will buff monsters like Headhunter in PoE? No. We're not making Headhunter. Headhunter has there's several abilities in Last Epoch, monster abilities, that we would have to remove from the game in order to have Headhunter be viable, to the point where we would dilute the number of abilities so much that we would, so there's like huge subset of people that would suffer because they're just by this one item existing. So even the people that don't have it, don't use it, they'd have a worse experience. Or you have to have it be like the things that it can affect are so limited that it's just kind of like, well, sometimes a couple of things get transferred over and you're like, nah, it sucks. It's just like, it's like, oh, it's close to this other thing that I love, but it's significantly worse. So if you're going to invite comparisons like that intentionally, you want to make sure you're on the right side of that comparison. And if you know you're going to be really on the wrong side of that comparison, it's generally not a great idea. Not always, sometimes it's good, but we try and avoid it if we're like, this is this other thing from this other game, but just worse in every way. Not huge on the idea. It's too bad to use something similar what's already implemented in other games. It fits. Is it too bad to use something similar what is already implemented in other games if it fits and is very fun to players? No, it's not bad. It's totally fine. It's actually good in a lot of cases, because what you can do is you can people can see things that they're familiar with in some cases. So like Warpath and Whirlwind and Cyclone and all these abilities, all these like and Garen and Law, like all these spin to win characters and abilities are very familiar. They're things that people played in lots of different games. People really enjoy them, and having those available is great. Because they're things that people like, especially genre tropes. Like I think that's a big genre trope, really, and putting your own spin on a genre trope like that, I think, is a very, very useful way to provide people a way to have fun, which is really what it's all about. See, lots of times it's great, but if I think if you can't put your own spin on it, so if the only way to do it is to like directly copy someone else, careful. if the only way to do it is strictly worse than someone else, especially if they're one of the most popular versions of that something else. And they're all these are case by case. So I'm like trying to speak very generally because there's not really a hard fast rule for any of it. Imagine stealing revival before dying in hardcore. That would be insane. Stealing revival? Oh, like the yeah. That would be a little nuts. That would be an amazing moment. That would be great. That would be so cool and everything. But like, it's tough to. It's so hard to balance. And like we don't like to say, you know, this will never happen. That'll never happen. But Headhunter's one that chances of it happening are extremely low at best. Super duper mega extremely low at best. To the point where I'm confident just saying no. So many problems with it. Like we've looked at it. This is not something that we're like we've just considered it and been like, oh, you know, don't copy it, whatever, move on. No, like we've really looked at doing it. There are many problems. It is not for lack of trying. I love when a fireball, like, the heat seekingness pulls it up towards the screen, and then it loses the heat seekingness because the target dies, so it just starts going straight forward and it like flies in front of the screen. I love that. Will LE ever get more density in the game? My biggest issue with it is I felt like I would walk to kill 10 mobs. There's a couple bugs actually that still exist in the live version that cause some of these density gaps to happen that we have fixed for next patch. We did also err on the side of caution with density in general due to performance concerns that are being mostly alleviated, so we should see a little bit of an increase there. Not dramatic. We don't want to have we would rather see like if we're going to directly compare to Path of Exile, we would rather intentionally see fewer enemies on screen. Just having it be a little more intentional, and maybe that means making those enemies a little bit more dangerous if it's a difficulty thing. But just seeing fewer enemies on screen is, like, regardless of any constraints, the design we're hoping for. And that's not to say every single situation is always gonna broad strokes speaking. Maybe there will be some, I don't know, some area that we make where it's just like enemies as far as the eye can see. Yeah, you know, like that sort of thing can happen, and having big variance on that, I think, is interesting. It makes where you are, like, having to make decisions based on the encounter that you're in. Having variance, like having different dials you can move, is good for that. What haven't you copied yet that you really want to copy from other games? I mean, we really tried to avoid copying anything. We also try to avoiding copying anything. Like, we just try, oh, it sounds dumb to say, we try to just ignore other games as much as possible if we can, and just make our games. And sometimes things from other games, like games you played, games you haven't played in a decade, influence the decisions you make when designing a game. Games you have no recollection of playing are like they'll find their way in little ways. And so we generally just try and look at it from a, like, what if, like, what do you think would be cool, that sort of stuff. And sometimes you get something that does overlap. So there's nothing that's on the list of like, oh, I really want to copy that. I don't think. Yeah. Thank you very much, Master Sword. 1291. Let's get to the sub to Lizard. Thank you, Master Sword. Welcome, Lizard. Hope you're having fun. I laugh because if anyone is wondering, these two guys are here a lot. All right. Let's get to the next question. Game has some chances to explode skill nodes. Are these going to stay? And if they are they going to get reworked visually? I don't see why they wouldn't stay. I mean, we're always looking to improve everything. If there's significant feedback that we get on our feedback forums and channels that it needs reworking, I'm sure it'll get looked at eventually. I don't know if there's anything specifically on that list. It's really hard because there's so many little things, and I don't really know what's on the like to be reworked visually list until it happens usually, unless there's something that like we talk about that's really bad. These Scalebane rogues are just all up in my face. Get out of here, buddy. It's not cool, you know. Just trying to shoot fireballs in your face. Come on. Hey, there we go. The issue with density is that some echoes have really low, and some have really high density. Yes, that was the bug I was referring to earlier that's been fixed. Does Acolyte offer her minions a healthcare plan? of his a healthcare plan of is that not in their contract, or is that not in their contract? I understand what it's trying to say there. I think the undead servitude doesn't come with a very good dental plan. I don't think they have much of a choice in their servitude. Thus, the servitude. Will Thorns and Reflect be removed from the game, or do they get a complete rework if not? No, and probably not. Are we going to see more crit chance sources in the future? More in quotes? Probably not. I think chances are we'll actually see just multiplicative chance sources in general going away. By that I mean like increased, reduced, more, and less, all being few and far between at best. I think there's a good chance of that. It's still not a done deal yet, but I suspect we'll see crit becoming more of a just like plus 2% crit chance, plus 3% crit chance, instead of like plus 50% increased critical strike chance. So we'll see it going to and added and subtracted almost, I shouldn't say exclusively, but extremely heavily weighted. Ooh, let's get out of there. This is what I think we'll see. It's still up in the air, but I think that'll be it's a pretty safe prediction. Forgot that I do have Snap Freeze still. Hiya! Oh, it's on cooldown. There we go. Chill out. Got to do like a froze like a Mr. Freeze tagline every time we use Snap Freeze. It's time that you were put on ice. I just made that one up. I don't know what they are. I haven't seen that movie in way too long. Alright, we're going to see a fix to collision resolution. For example, totems not summoning when on a thin path or with many mobs around. I wouldn't consider that a bug, so no. We might change the design on it. It's possible, but it is working as intended at the moment. our passive tree threshold nodes updates coming in the next patch. The classes that don't have them is more likely a 1.0 edition with the new masteries. No, that'll come. That'll happen late 0.9 development cycle. Will be will likely be spreading those out. Yeah, like every tree will just get them. That's going to be something that we just start using as like a normal thing. And as trees get looked at and reworked, they'll get added. I think some of them have them already. Even I'm not sure. I did notice that because like I make the characters in the editor, so I actually made this character on the current build of the game. Not in 8.5, so it's like there were certain things that I was doing and then coming back into here and load it up, I'm like, oh, it's different. Whoops. Rip 100% crit chance. No, I think that'll still be possible. It's less about changing what's possible to be done with crit and more about increasing comprehension and just making it easier because it adds having the added increase and more on a percentage based stat like crit that caps out at 100 quite often I think doesn't add a lot of depth per complexity. So if it's adding 2 points of depth, it's adding 50 points of complexity. And it's because it's just not that interesting of a thing. You're just like, I just need crit. I'm gonna get my crit as high as I can. Crit. The tiny bit of math to work it out how it's gonna be, but it's not a interesting decision to make. And there's a lot of mostly with newer players, but still even with enfranchised players too. There can be confusion around things like that. It's just not worth it usually. Drink lots of water. What are the devs' intentions going forward for crowd control effects in the game, like stun, freeze, etc.? It seems seems like the coming changes for stun will overall make it stronger than before. I think that there is. I don't want to speak too broadly on this because I am sure I will make a mistake, and it's a very important topic. Having stun, like I guess I can speak to the goals. Stun is a really interesting mechanic in that when used well, it can actually be a very large source of both damage and defense. Stunning an enemy inside of an AoE effect so that they can't get out, so it takes way more damage. This is quite often seen in like pretty intuitive combos like Black Hole Meteor. You know, you like set the black hole down to draw them in, and then the meteor drops on them, and big damage, all that sort of stuff. And there's even nodes in there in those trees to like help with that. In the it's also defensive in the sense that this enemy's about to wind up and use this big ability, stun it, stop the ability. So it's a very powerful effect. And abuse cases for being able to perma-stun things is scary. Because sometimes perma-stun cases happen when you can, like, just, especially in a group, invalidate complete boss fights. But sometimes taking perma-stun abilities just drops your damage into the abyss, and you end up with, like, wet noodle fights. And you're just like, okay, well, this boss can't move for the next 4 hours, and I'm going to do 1 damage a second to it. It has 10 million hit points. You know, it's just like, okay, this fight's going to be hours long, or whatever the math works out to be. And it's not fun being stuck there, especially if it's the most effective way for new builds. It's quite often ends up being a very effective way for new builds to complete extremely difficult content. So you don't have a lot of wealth, your character's not very strong, you don't have gear to do it, but you can pull off this perma-stun system, and you're just gonna perma-stun this boss until it's dead. It'll take 3 hours, and it's gonna suck. So avoiding situations like that's really important. All right, thank you, AK Good Greens, for subbing. Appreciate it. Stick around. Hope you have some fun. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. All right. See if I missed some questions. I know that wasn't really a direct answer to your question, Master, but I hope it gave enough insight into our intentions enough that maybe it can shed some light and hopefully where we end up. I'm not sure if this node is off the top of my head. Details help for these kind of super specific questions. Also remember to, this was a ping for other thing. Hello! Is there plans to make Unholy Trinity for Lich more viable on Hungering Souls, since at high levels it's hard for such a build to stay sustained? I do not know what those nodes do off the top of my head. I apologize. Yeah, sorry. I would need images. I'm not on an Acolyte, so I can't look them up really quickly here. I guess I could flip to build planner or something. But plans for specific balance changes are not created yet for the next patch. So no, there's no plans for it. However, it could get created before the next patch. So who knows? Hello, how are you doing today? Do you plan to add any secret areas, maybe cosmetic, or to pick up loot hotkey instead of clicking on the ground? Wow, lots of stuff there. Yes, we plan to add more secret areas to the game. Hint. Yes, we are adding cosmetics. K for cosmetics. You can see there's already a cosmetics panel that you can. Don't click on the ones that aren't implemented, Mike. Here we go, this one. You can have a little pet that runs around with you. Well, dude. It doesn't do anything. Cosmetics or pick up loot hotkey instead of just clicking on the ground. So the pick up loot hotkey is something that gets suggested every once in a while, and I think usually the reason the key factor in a pick up loot hotkey that I think a lot of people might be missing when they make the suggestion is that and quite often it's like, I just want a hotkey. I don't want auto loot. I just want a hotkey. Unfortunately, a hotkey and auto loot are the same thing, because all you have to do is have that, like get out the Homer bird dipper thing to press the button over and over again, and just have that auto pickup key being pressed over and over again, and suddenly you got auto loot. And we're not really interested in an arms race on detecting systems that do that to combat that. It doesn't sound like fun, and likely would end up just hurting the people who are using the system properly. So I would say unlikely, but possible. Very unlikely and barely possible. Are you generally happy with the amount of defensive layers in the game, or do you think there are opportunities for different types of defenses? Yeah, I am generally very happy with the defensive layers that are in the game. I think there's enough variation mechanically and thematically that we can have different defensive layer mechanics be featured on different classes in different combinations, so that you get overlap for familiarity, but novelness, newness, whatever it's called. There's a term there that I'm just missing. In terms of the combinations, so you can maybe you're using ward on an acolyte or ward on a mage, and while you're using the same defensive layer, because you're doing them in different classes, there's different ways, there's different things they synergize with, that you're going to see different versions of those. So ward on an acolyte might be more tied to a low life build. It might be tied to minions more so, whereas ward on a mage might be tied more to your mana, and how that's used. So there's lots of reusing mechanics in different ways to get new experiences in new combinations. I think that's really good. Is there room for more? Yeah, there's room for more. Is it necessary? I don't think so. I think if there's a new playstyle or a new mechanic idea, something that comes out that's really awesome, like we won't hesitate to add a new defensive layer for it. But I don't think it's something that I know it's something that we're not actively searching for at the moment. Yeah. Pick up a little gold. Why not, right? I love Fear for that reason. One time you can time it. Great utility. Please remove Perma CC. Removes the beauty of combat IMO. Yeah, Perma CC is a problem, and it sucks that it exists. We're working on it. Hello, Cool Wings. Thank you. B-Dance V2. There you go. Why are mechanics like B-Skin confirmed? I mean, I wouldn't put it past us, but no, we don't have anything like that prepped yet. Bees are friends, not food. I don't know where that came from. Alright. Why are mechanics like Fire Aura on crit paired together despite having natural anti-synergy? I'm not against the design, but curious on the philosophy behind it. Yeah. It's an interesting question, and I don't have a great insight into why it's there like that, because I didn't make that one. I think likely it was kind of just another way to have that introduced, because sometimes there's builds that will sacrifice crit damage and sacrifice the amount of damage you're dealing just in general on hits, but you can guarantee very high rate of crit, specifically to target things like that, effects like that, where you're like, I need to trigger something on crit, so I'm going to crit a ton, but really I'm more focused on what I'm triggering, not the crit itself. So you take no crit multi, and you're not dealing in any base damage, but you're just like, I'm going to take as much crit chance as I can to try and trigger this other thing as much as possible. And I guess it's just another way to work with crit. There might be another reason that I just don't know. I'd say likely there is. There's anything I'm sure of that I'm not sure of much. Alright. When do we expect to see Warlock? Maybe 0.9-ish? No, 1.0. I do kind of wish that the common shards would be auto-looted and you'd only have to click on the rare or class shards. Yeah, we see this feedback every once in a while. For now, we don't plan on changing it. It is something that gets brought up and we discuss pretty regularly. That's a very cool idol. There are 3 unique idols in the game. 2, 3. Crap. At least 2. This one and this one. So they're pretty cool. So yeah, if you're doing this would be the opposite of that, where you can't crit anymore. Trying to emphasize hit builds that don't focus on crit as an option, I guess is what this is for. Because hit builds and crit builds go together so well that almost every time you're going to do a hit build, you're going to do a crit build. let's not die. It would be ideal, if possible. I keep seeing my mini pet. I'm like, die! I'm very curious to see what the defenses will be like for Warlock, since the Lich has the second health bar, and Necromancer has a pile of meat shields. Yep. Yeah, I'm not sure where that'll lean, because it won't have either of those things as heavily at all. Like it won't have Lich's second health bar. Warlock's got some tricks up his sleeve. You know, Warlock's got some tricks. I'm trying to think of a way to tease a little bit without giving too much of it away, but I just can't. I'm sorry. Where can I drop a request / feedback so it won't start discussion, more like a suggestion box? Well, so there's on Discord, we have our suggestions and like to see channel that we pull stuff out of. Yeah, I generally sit at night or in the morning when I first get up. I'll give a peruse through there and just look at what suggestions are coming in. That and the feedback threads on Discord. I mean, you could send a support ticket if you really didn't want anyone to even see your suggestion. I would avoid that if possible, though, because we want to reserve support ticket bandwidth for people who need help. And even just triaging unnecessary tickets it just takes away from being able to help people that actually need help. I'm actually gonna turn this mini pet off. And I know this is weird in that nope, that's what we want. This in that there's like, if you have this one, you clearly have this one, but I don't. It was for testing. I'm pretty sure those are getting redesigned. Like, not redesigned, recreated from the original design. I think. Or they already have been. One of the two. Because the original versions were some of the very first models we even ever created for the game. Like, oh, who created those? So, someone who, I think the person who created them still does a ton of stuff for the game, but it was the only model that he ever created for the game was that. He leads a different department now. All right, I'm very curious to see what the defenses will be like. Oh, I answered that one. Where can I? Oh, yeah, I'm just repeating questions all over the place. Is there a reason we can't use the thing to make idols unique? Is there a reason we can't use the thing to make idols legendary? I believe is the question you're asking. I got it. Is that because they would be too powerful if they were easy to get? I think what you're asking is, what am I doing here? This is the one I want. Oh, let's close that. That's a bug. With a unique and exalted item, you can create with unique legendary potential and exalted. You can combine them together to make a legendary item. But the unique idols never spawn with legendary potential, and there are no such thing as an exalted idol. So there's no way to make a legendary idol. Part of this is there's a few reasons for this, for being this way. Part of it is just having that like specific control over what combinations are available and being able to I guess putting unique. I don't know how to say this properly. The stats that we want on idols. No, that's a bad way of saying this as well. Ooh, I'm having a tough time answering this question. I'm sorry. We really like the way idols are, and we don't think it would be useful to add to the system right now. I guess that's the bottom line here on that. There's no crafting that happens on idols at all right now. It's as they drop, that's as they are, and that's it. And that's not to say that's a permanent thing, but for now and probably 1.0, idols will probably be used as they drop items. Yeah, that might change, but it's there's no I haven't seen any plans for that's okay. I haven't seen any plans for adding in idle crafting in any way. Pre 1.0. It's not to say that it won't happen, but I haven't seen anything for it. Just a sec here. Oh my god, I'm sorry. I just went on a rant about how much I like items like that. It's embarrassing. Thank you, Kane, for reminding me. Well, that was my impression of someone who was pretending to not talk into their microphone. Just really good. I'm just so good at it. All right, next question. Do you think it's a problem that range builds can make use of all defensive layers that seem catered towards melee brawlers, leech DR versus nearby armor? Yes. A large asterisk. I don't think it's a huge problem. I think that there are like we do try and give, I guess, melee easier access to defensive layers. Usually just thematically it works out. Um, Block, health, things like that. Um, Endurance. Those quite often go in with like melee build characters that have easy access to. Like I'm just like these are things that a lot of melee classes just have access to. Anyways, melee heavy classes. Um, but it's not so cut and dry of melee versus range. Um, yeah. I think they talked about Rune of Ascendance for idols. Did we talk about that? Maybe. I think like if someone said to me, "Hey Mike, pitch an idol crafting system and things like that, like how would you do it?" I would tie it to a dungeon personally. I would tie it to a dungeon reward. Um, not sure exactly how I do it. You could do a few different ones pretty easily. I think that'd be cool. I don't think that many of the traditional crafting systems, because idols don't have tiers on their affixes at all. It's just a single tier, all of them. So I don't think that involving them in the normal crafting system makes a lot of sense because there's just so many items that are intrinsically incompatible with it that I would, and because they have so few mods total, there's even more that are incompatible naturally. And so I'd really look to having specific functions be tied to dungeon rewards is where I would start. All right. Maybe an ambitious question. Any teasers for an eventual player economy? Deflationary measures for stability, trade restrictions, etc. Deflationary. That's a new word for me. Judging by your question, and I could be way off base here. Judging by your question, there's going to be, if you're really hoping for those types of questions to be relevant, I think you might be a little disappointed in the eventual trading system. No, I can't give you any teasers for that other than I don't think there are any. Like any of those deflationary measures for stability. Maybe there are. I guess there technically are. I don't know, man. I have to no comment on trade. We'll have to wait and see. That's the better answer. Sorry. I think the idle question was upgrading a basic idle to unique, but I could be wrong. Yeah, I think the assumption is that would be too easy to generally is generally correct. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, like there aren't enough idols. I understand the original question now. I totally missed that. There aren't enough like if you put this small idol with an this is itchy so much. I'm taking it off. Oh my goodness, that was such a problem. My hair's gotten to the point where it's just long enough that it's just like in my face and doing nothing. I hate it. But yeah, if you put this like small idol in with a Rune of Ascension, the only option is this. Like you're just 100% guaranteed you're gonna get that out, no problem. Speaking of fun items to get with the crafting system with the Rune of Ascension, there we go, Fractured Crown. I was gonna say yes, and there's so many other pieces of the crafting system that just don't work with idols that I don't think having them work in the crafting system at all is really a great idea, which is why I would look to put them in the there's all the muted things. Whoops. That's why I would look to put them more in the dungeon system. A little ways behind here. Let's see if I can catch up. About idols in D2, charm item level is really important, yes, and it makes finding harder content rewarding, get skillers with life and such. In LE, you can drop best in slot idol in the campaign, in your opinion, creates a why bother sentiment when it comes to engaging with harder content to get good ones. Any ideas on this? I think that's a really, I think it's good insight on it. I mean, it kind of goes against what I was saying earlier, but I think that there's a really good, a good effect of having some of these idols be collectible early, especially when you have, idols that enable builds. So like trigger idols for things like that, having those be possible to pick up early and see those possibilities on a new character that's maybe not following a guide, or it's their very first character of that class, where you're seeing these options as you're leveling and it gives you ideas to change your character as you go. I think that's a really positive thing. Having those I think item tier is probably the way to fix that, really, to make it easier to find them, or better versions of them, so you're not finding best in slot versions later, which is not overly surprising. or just roll ranges, or I don't know, different combinations that aren't possible until later. I do really like the idea of having specific ones be showing up later. I don't know. I don't have good ideas for that. Sorry. It's a very good point. I think it's a very good point because yeah, like you can get a skiller starting in Nightmare in D2, but you can't get a like 45 life skiller unless you're killing 2 enemies in the entire game. Like there's only 2 enemies in the entire game that drop 45 life skillers, or ones that could be rolled into 45 life skillers as well. We need to fix the marksman waistline ASAP. Her body looks like a rectangle. Okay. Are there plans to add more stuff to change the way skills function? Yes. I think it would be interesting to have some passives for them that can only get if you put all 20 points into getting to it, but return was really powerful. Yeah, I think that there's huge percentage investments. I think when you say 20, I think you mean like a single node on the tree that has 20. That's almost not possibly going to happen. We have a hard rule now for nodes where no node can be more than 5 points in a tree. And also trying to restrict nodes like that to be mutually exclusive with every other node in the tree. Like by making them 20 doesn't work because you can get, in some cases, I think 32 points in some trees. I think that's the max. I think we worked that out at some point. Ooh, 2 LP Bone Harvester. Neat. But yeah, we will definitely be adding more ways to have skills function. That's something that always gets added every patch. Me and a certain reptilian need to know, is upheaval a ranged skill that requires a melee weapon or a melee skill that's exceptionally long range? It is a melee ability that has a very long range cascading effect. Hello, dear developer. Hello, Foxy45. Well met, traveler. Will there be a unique tab style like Path of Exile's unique tab? Are there any plans to make something like that? We have talked about a few upgrades to the stash system. In general, there's a few different things. There's actually some changes that just went in regarding the search functionality. That's going to make it a lot better. But yeah, not, just to be clear, I'm not referring to what's this stuff called that I hate? Everyone hates regex. No regex style systems. That's not what I'm referring to. But yeah, we are looking at upgrades for the stash. Nothing's been done to the stash in like 2 years now. I don't have any details on specifically what that's going to be. It's hot in here. Oh. Say thank you, Leech, for keeping me alive, but almost didn't work. I think some regex style stuff, some light regex style things would be nice, but we don't have any super immediate plans for that. Or like tag searches or fields like name does this, and like stuff like that, filter options. None of that's planned as of yet, but like these are all things that come up in conversations every once in a while. And I mean, the longer we work on the game, the more of these styles of things that'll just get added. But yeah, a unique tab I think would be a good idea. I think it'd be cool. Or at least I think a tracker, like an achievement tracker for the like finding every unique or something like that. Because I think that's the reason a lot of people use it, is just as a like a Grail tracker. Something that'd be cool. Don't stand in the fire. Boop. I forgot to do my line. Alright. Is there plans to add more monos, since I feel like the lore they add for all timelines is unique? Yeah, there will be more monoliths added. I don't know when. This is probably the complement we'll have for 1.0. Probably. Maybe a little bit different, but I think this will be likely the complement, the launch complement of them. But it is set up very specifically so that they can be reorganized, reordered, replaced, added to. It is all set up to be very modular like that. One word, achievements? Yeah, I don't see why not. At some point. I think achievements are a really good way to. There's a lot of interesting things you can do with achievements, and I think that they can provide a lot of different functions for different types of players, and they can be something as simple as like directing people to say like, oh, the thing you're doing, that's a good thing. You should keep doing that. And like it can help tutorialize things even. So like I don't think we'd ever do this, but here's an example, a rough example. So like you pick up a shard. You pick up a shard for the first time. Boom. Achievement unlocked. Picked up 1 crafting shard. Click here to view the entire achievement track or something like that. And it's like 3 achievements, and it's like pick up a shard, shatter an item, and forge a new item or something like that. Like those, like the 3 things in this track, and it forces you to like figure out how to shatter, and like and it teaches you how to use the forging system kind of organically by having this achievement for it, and it's a really easy achievement. And so whatever, and there's some that are like that. Then you can have other achievements that are like skill based achievements. So things like complete the final boss of the game. You probably wouldn't put the final boss's name in there, but maybe you could. And those can like help teach players like maybe when the end of the game is, or like unlock your mastery quest or something like that. Like just like, oh, I did something, and that thing that I just did was important, and that was a big deal, or like that was a big moment or something like that. I think that can help to reinforce things like this. And there's lots of ways you can do that. So like you can have like reinforcing like chapter completions. This is chapter 1. That's funny. Most people have no idea what chapter their character's in for the most part, and part of the problem with that is that there's nothing that really says like, hey, you completed a chapter, good job. And that can come in a lot of different forms. So like a small cutscene, I think, is something we're gonna do, and something that is definitely missing. And will be the biggest impact there. But even something little, like you kill a big boss and it's like completed chapter 4, something or other. And it's like, oh, that was a really big moment of story progression, and like it just helps reinforce those ideas. And there's other things too you can do, like like chase achievements, things that are like complete like I don't know, be in the top 100 on this ladder when it closes or something like that. I don't know. You get into tricky spaces with achievements and achievements you can miss. So like maybe instead of that, it would be an achievement for just like be in the top 100 of a ladder when it closes, and you get tricky, like, cause lots of people want to have the capability of 100%ing a game. So it's you get tricky issues. Either it has to be like clear that you can, or clear that you just can't. So presentation changes a lot there. These wings are surprisingly sweaty. My back is just apparently it's really warm in here too, I think. Which is crazy. It's supposed to be so warm. Dungeon that gives special idol that goes in the center 1x1 of the idol grid, torch or endless style pog. I mean, there's a lot of potential with this slot here. And, like, we never considered anything to put there at all. Like, that just was... It's the first time I heard someone suggest putting something there that affected the whole idol slot. No. There's a really intentional missing spot there, not just from a organizational mechanics perspective, but future content potential perspective as well. We don't have specific plans for it right now, but when we were making that, we were designing the layout for it, we were like, there's a big list of like, oh, we could do this or this or this or this or this, and this is exactly where you'd put it. And yeah, there's a lot of really great ideas that I've seen come up from the community as well, things to put there. A lot of overlap on things we already thought about. That's right. Follow me in my orb. Come with me. There's an orb that will not hurt you at all. I promise. It's totally safe. Totally safe. That's right. All my points are good. Are they? That's impressive. Mine are very rarely good. Alrighty then. Next one. Also, are there any plans to fix spelling consistency? Yeah. Yeah, armor. Yep. We're on it. Any plans for one or more additional skill sets you can change into to change your playstyle without having... No. Diablo 3 Armory style quick switching is not planned. When Zarek follows you to the desert, you can put an infinitely scaling infernal shade on him. Oh, is this intended or funny consequence that doesn't really matter? I would say funny consequence. It matters a little. I think that's something that likely will get fixed or altered. Maybe I think there's an opportunity there for interesting solutions. This is not really that big of a deal, but I think there's an opportunity for an interesting solution there. I don't have a good option off the top of my head of what I would do, but like when I say interesting solution, I mean like in Witcher 3 at the start you'd like there's all the cows, and if you kill too many cows, you'd like kill cows, rest, kill cows, rest, kill cows, rest, and you just get infinite money. It would take forever and it was super boring, but it was infinite money at the start of the game. And so they added this bovine defense force, I think they called it, and it's like this giant monster that spawns and just kicks the crap out of you right at the start. Interesting solutions. Cycle achievements, maybe like having season achievements in D3 and challenges in PoE leagues. Yeah, things like that. Will there be dark modes for some skills like lightning to make them dark, not so flashy? Smite as Void is a great example of far better, not so flashy dark skill, or will they be tied to MTX? I think if there's an opportunity for a conversion that makes sense and is something that we're interested in doing mechanically in the game, then we'll do that. But if it's not a functional change and only a visual change, it'll likely be tied to MTX. Leaks. Oh yeah, we're super far in. I'm sorry. L-shaped autoflow true Tetris experience. We tried. There's a lot of problems with it. Sorry. I got leaks for days. Which one do we want to do first? Let's do this one first. This one's pretty cool. I like this one. Little scary boy there. Some of the models that these guys are making now is just amazing. I am very frequently amazed by the stuff that the art team pumps out. And part of it is just like I'm terrible at stuff like that, so like it just seems so wild that you can even make it. I think this is an enemy. The wife and I also started playing Wingspan. We've had Wingspan in our closet. It's a board game for since Christmas. We've had it. It's something we do around Christmas. We usually buy each other a board game, just because we like board games, and it's sort of our like board games for the year. And we've not had time to play it at all, but we started playing it, and we're making time now. I'll tell you what, great game. To the point where I started actually, I've got them right here. I started printing little models for like the replacement models. It's kind of hard to see for the food and stuff for in the game, and like little unique houses as bird houses instead of the player markers. Yeah, yeah. Got a rainbow one printing right now for my wife to play with because that's what she wanted. It's coming out a little more orange than I wanted. Alright, triggers and cooldowns. There are a lot of cool items with neat triggers and interactions. Will there be a way to scale the cooldowns of some of those to make them more build defining, like Riverbend Grasp versus Reign of Winter? Generally not. It's not impossible, but I'd say most of the time we set cooldowns on those very intentionally for balance reasons, and there's kind of two ways to have cooldowns interact with those. One, generically, so just having increased cooldown reduction work with them, and if it does generically work, it would have to work with all of them. So as soon as we make increased cooldown recovery work generically with all of them, anything that we had the cooldown set for a very specific balance reason, suddenly we have to take the cooldown and increase it by enough so that the maximum possible cooldown reduction you could ever have in the game lines up with that value, and suddenly everyone who's not stacking cooldown reduction to the absolute max is kind of SOL. So that's not a great solution. Second option for including some way to scale that cooldown is to have really targeted cooldown scaling. And what happens there is if you have one item that produces this effect and one other item that changes the cooldown of that effect, suddenly this other item is kind of useless without the first one. So you could do it in a set that can work, but there's not really a lot of great ways to do it in like generic sense or just with a unique that already exists, especially. So I'd say chances are low for either of those options that you put there, but not impossible. Have I looked into the board game Dune Imperium or Lost Ruins of Arnok? That's an RN, not an M. Maybe a good Christmas gift this year. I haven't. I think one of them is going to be an expansion for Wingspan this year. Really liking it a lot. We also have... Oh no, they're all open now. We still have Terraforming Mars that we haven't played yet. So that's on the list. Oh, the joys of growing up and being an adult. It's a good time, Fools, by my character there, sound effect. We play a lot of Gloomhaven as well. We have a not quite weekly, but most weeks we'll play. We have our Gloomhaven buddy couple that comes over, and yeah, we've been doing Jaws of the Lion, which is the slightly smaller, more directed, less expansive version of Gloomhaven. It's basically the same game though. Tons of fun. We're most of the way through that now. It's been great. It's been really great. Oh, are we up past? Do I have enough to go? I just didn't even notice. We'll see. Warhammer Darkside's OST is amazing. Recommend if you like Warhammer or exciting game music. Well, I do like exciting game music. I never got into Warhammer. Sorry about that. It's probably a bit of a pop when I slammed my headset up and I panic couldn't find the mute button. We're okay though. Yeah, I played Magic. I didn't have enough money for Warhammer. Alright, is there any way to balance Bastion of Honor so other shield options are still viable in comparison? So far, every single build makes the shield mandatory. I would disagree with the statement that every single build makes that shield mandatory. Case in point. But yeah, I hear you that it is a pretty ubiquitous shield as far as shields go right now. It is probably the best one for almost every situation. And yeah, it's difficult. It's tough to be too heavy-handed with something like that. I think it's a combination effect that needs to happen between just naturally having more options appear as time goes on, which will happen. Having new builds show up, having new characters show up, things like that. Like it will become less ubiquitous as time goes on naturally. And yeah, it could probably use with a slight balance adjustment. I think more so, a few other things could probably use a buff, realistically. I could be wrong on that. But we still haven't touched on our balance pass 4.9 yet. So, we'll be looking at it as we go through that. But it's just we just haven't got there yet. You have Terraforming Mars unplayed in my closet as well. High on the list to get that one played. Yeah, I have the I don't know if it was like free because of some event or something, or just it is free or not. But I have the digital edition of it. I got it through some platform for free. Some reason I got it for free. I was like, sure, I'll check it out. Why not? I think it might have been like the free daily game or weekly game or whatever that goes through. I'm stalling because I can't remember the name of it. Epic Store, whatever that is. So I may have grabbed it through there. Or it's just a free game. I don't know. But yeah, that's how I learned the rules. It's the digital one. Am I muted again? No, I'm not. Okay. Sorry, I muted myself because I was coughing and didn't want to blow out anyone's eardrums if you're wearing headphones. Are there any drop bear related things in the game? Not really. I don't think so. Not that I know of. Could be though eventually. Is there any specific metric of what makes a unique catalyst versus a weapon? Whether or not we want it to be simultaneously wieldable with a wand or not, and if it has any defensive leanings or not. I think those would be the two key factors in Catalyst versus Wand, or Catalyst versus some other weapon. Just because you can dual wield, like, well, you can wield a wand and a catalyst. So if we wanted it to be wieldable with wands. So like if it's about mutual exclusivity of unique effects primarily. Buff block chance on gear, nerf block effect, early DR curve, please. Yeah. No Warhammer means heretic. Sorry, Lizard. I'll call it a heretic. I played the RTS, I want to call it. What was it called? The Warhammer RTS. We played that at a few lands once. Squad based RTS. 40k. I was playing the Necrons mostly. That's a term, right? Yeah. Oh. You know, you get to the end of the week and you're like, it was a long week. And you're like, did I do anything? That's how I feel today a little bit. Anyone have any Halloween plans? I know, friend down the block, neighbors, he always has fireworks on Halloween. He usually does it on the Friday night that's closest before, if it lines up nicely. So I think he'll be doing that tonight probably. I'll be keeping an eye out. He's got young kids as well, so like it's usually pretty early in the night. So it's might even be early enough that we can take the little one out and see their first fireworks. Ooh, ah. Hey, come back here. Where you going, buddy? I'm just trying to have a nice little chat. I want to know your opinions on policy reform. It's a bit excessive, but I mean, who am I to judge? Alright, day before Halloween is my birthday, so plans to just play games and no costumes this year. Must be weird having a birthday right on a holiday, or right like next to a holiday like that. I hope you have a good birthday. That's just in a couple days here, isn't it then? I take the damage return is a stat is completely phased out in late game. Seems like there are a few scaling options that would involve it. We actually I mentioned this earlier. Someone posted, I think it was to Reddit, I want to say recently, where they had a build where they just walked into monoliths and stood there, and the towers would kill themselves because of all the damage reflect that they had. But yeah, it's we're being cautious overall with damage reflection builds as primary damage dealing sources. It's an easy way to get into, I guess, something that I was talking about earlier as well, with that like I'm just gonna sit here and have this 2-hour long reflect fight where like I'm never gonna die and we're not really doing much because I do ZDPS, but you're slowly gonna kill yourself on that reflect. Like that's painful. I guess maybe it's even worse by having it be weak, but we're being cautious on the reflect front at the moment. Oh, lucky it's Halloween and not Christmas, so I don't get presents offloaded to the holiday. Yep. I definitely had the combo present. Oh my god. I'm so far past the stability required, I'm just on autopilot. Did we just die? Here, let's try... Oh, goodness. Black hole and meteor. I didn't do much. Oh god! Focus! Focus! It's gonna be okay! It's gonna be okay! Freeze everything! Oh my goodness! Oh no! Oh no, we died. Guess I'll do a spoiler. Oh, it's a terrible background for this. Let's find a better background because it doesn't have a background on the. Oh no, one day. Oh, this background's terrible for this. No. I thought this image had a background. It doesn't. Oh. Oh, it looks way better there. Okay, cool. Here is some new art for something cool. I wonder what it is. This is my water here. That's a cheese knife? Have you ever thought of mechanics that turn reflection damage into other damage, allowing it to act as an alternate source of damage for more defensive classes? Yeah, we definitely talked about that. Unspec meteor better than orb, not bad. It was actually pretty competitive damage, wasn't it? Not a great sign. Where's orb? Oh yeah, it's volcanic orb. Are you able to share? I'm gonna take these off the screen while I fight. Are you able to share what milestone the team hit in the last couple of weeks that you got Friday off? I can't remember if it was last week, 2 weeks ago. I can't share what that is, unfortunately. It's pretty cool. I think there's going to be something. It will be shared what the milestone is. Well, it should be. If it's not planned to be, I'll leak it. I'm just kidding. I won't leak anything. Actually leak. But yes, yeah, it's the sort of thing we'll share. I'm not sure when or what it will look like exactly, but yes. It was a great day. I took a nap. Yeah. It was glorious. I'm sorry I wasn't on stream. But yeah, kid was down for a nap. So was I, and oh, was it great! What happens if you ignore the guy at the start of this mission? Do you have to backtrack? I don't actually know. I was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna find out. It probably just picks up. Most of the time, things like that, it'll just pick up, and it's fine. I mean, if we had dexterity, this boots would probably be really good because of all the little hits. Any plans for a feature where if a fire skill is made to be ice, then the icon gets color shifted to red from red to blue? I don't know if it'd be confusing people or not. Yeah, this is actually interesting. We have, like, 'cause I just was looking for frozen orb and couldn't find it because it wasn't blue there. We've talked about this quite a bit actually, and we have a lot of color variations of abilities that you may have noticed in as nodes. So like there will be This is a disintegrate one. There's like lightning only disintegrate, and yeah, disintegrate's tree actually has a really good example of this. So yeah, like this node here and this node here are kind of like color shifted. And up here there's fire, lightning, and both. And like so we definitely have a lot of shifted versions of these. And like sometimes, like when I was making a lot of skill tree nodes, I would just like take the sprite over, like hue shift it, and call it a day, you know. So we do have a lot of like slight variations on nodes, but we figured it was easier to have the recognition for like, oh, someone's playing a build, what abilities are on there, and like to be able to recognize what the abilities are was more important than having the sprite update to reflect any conversions that have been taken. And that's when these got added into the skill tree skills panel. Yes, stand in front of me, take a couple hits. Some of the node lanes are so long. Sentinel melee physical damage if wielding a sword shard. Oh crap. I knew it was gonna happen and I just forgot. Alright, let's go. Let's finish this off. People are betting on if I'm going to clear this first try or not? Gasp. Plans to rebalance fire ice to be on par with lightning for DPS overall. I mean, this is sort of the same answer as if there's like balance melee versus range or something like that. No, we don't really look at it from a melee versus range perspective. We don't really look at it from a fire versus ice perspective or lightning versus fire perspective. Overall balance across the board. We're more looking at which skills need to be balanced relative to each other. Ada, one of the first computer scientists. I'm sure that's not what that name is actually referencing. Alright. Oops, no, don't do that. Yes. Take that. Green is good. Okay. Do I have channel points to predict with? Can I predict? Oh my gosh, you people think I'm just terrible. Streamers can't cast predictions. Oh, come on. Have you no faith in me? In my abilities? It's probably smart, neither do I. You can't Tempest Strike with a bow after all? Yeah. This guy's been had some fixes to make this fight a little bit more like where it makes more like the hitboxes don't perfectly line up with the visuals. So we've had some fixes for that. I think fixes for moving them around too. You walked this way. That's bad. Because you get stuck where you look like you're out of the range of everything, but you're not. It's okay. Got it. Did it. There we go, necrotic resistance. I just saw a comment in, yeah, Lizard, how come you can't do this boss hitless like Mike the God? I'm sure Lizard is orders of magnitude better at this game than I am. That's funny. Oh, it won't fit in inventory. I'll make it fit. That's a good one. I actually really like that fight. I think it's good. It's got a few quirks, but it's fun. Alright, any plans to add a loot goblin type thing, drop gold or other stuff? Yeah, I think the loot goblin is sort of this like accepted game mechanic that's just sort of a thing now, which I actually really love. It's this. I think it's a really strong. We don't have any specific plans to like target add one right now. However, I think that it is a really positive thing to add in, and I'd really like to see it added in. I'd also really like to yeah, I think it does some cool stuff. I think when you have this random, it's a mini event, it's a mini quest that happens. It has urgency, immediacy. It has a clear payoff reward that's exciting. Like all these things that I think it does really well. I love it. We're gonna try legendary one here. See what happens. Let's see how badly I just get slapped back down. Will trading? I can. There's like 2 words in. I'm gonna be like no comment. Will trading be tied to a dungeon? Will I have to complete a dungeon with another player to trade? No comment. No, I don't. No information on trade yet. Sorry. We'll release more info when we have it available and ready to share. I do love the dopamine button, aka transfer mats. Oh, here we go. Yeah, this is like you can feel it's not a huge difference, but like 0 modifiers in, and it's already like, yeah, stuff's beefier. Since MTX will be coming in 0.9, do you have any examples of any skill changes that you can show? No, I don't think there's any MTX skill changes that are implemented yet. The early stuff is like we just finished like I don't know if it was just finished. There may be more that I just don't know, but I just saw the first myself that I've seen of like an armor set that's skinned and like set up and rigged and everything for, I don't know the terms for the things that need to happen to make these work, but that's set up for all 5 character classes so that it works on all of their, that's my hand one too far to the right on the keyboard. So it's set up to work with all 5 character models. Yeah, wow, this is significantly harder right off the bat. Something's still shooting me. Stop it. There we go. Much better. When will the next multiplayer stream with a community streamer be? I don't think we have another timeline set up for that. I'd love to do one. I'd love to do a bunch. I think it'd be great. I think that'd be a really positive thing to do. I think we're getting a little bit further. There's some stuff that's like right now there's some stuff in the multiplayer build that is like hidden information, like early versions of item transfer systems, you know, things like that, that we're not really ready to share. So it's kind of hard to do a multiplayer test with that. I mean, we could make a special build for it where we like strip that out. Oh my goodness. I think I hit like 20 poison stacks there. It was dangerous. Yeah, so like we had to probably make a special build to strip some of those things out, because there are like I was mentioning earlier about the way that we do releases and polish releases and things like that. There's definitely missing stuff in the CT builds, like several CT builds. There's like some of you may remember that one time we released and Fireball was pink, was bright pink, and it's because the texture was missing for it. And it's really rare that we miss something like that for a primary build, like a mainline proper build. It does happen, but it's been a while. And but the CT build, there's every single one of them has missing textures in it. Like that's the attention to detail level that we put into those. Like we try and make sure that they are functional, fun, and they work and everything like that. But if there's little things like that, it's not considered like urgent to fix. Ooh, rune of creation, nice. Basically a mirror. You never seen one of those? Ooh, yeah. It's great if you have so you've got an exalted item that you love, and you say you've got like an item with like 2 LP on it, and you want to like take a shot at and getting the exalted item is like the valuable part of that transaction. You can duplicate the exalted item like with this in order to get 2 shots at the LP roll, or you can like use it on one that's like 2 LP and save up the other one for one that's 3 LP or something like that. Listen, I'm gonna block that comment there. Sorry, I think it adds terms to like an accepted list. If I, yeah. Will you allow the community to design some MTX? I think Dota 2 had a lot of community designed MTX. We don't have any immediate plans for that, but I've definitely seen suggestions for MTX on just like Discord or Reddit or the forums, where like people have been like, I really want this, and then I think they've already made it in type thing in a couple cases, or also were just ideas that were really similar already in the pipe. But like, yeah, we take ideas from things for all sorts of categories. Any Warpath leaks of how it got updated? There's not much. Oh, yeah, there was a change to it. Wasn't there? Oh, I don't know what changed with it. I'm sorry. So you're saying that we need Lizard and Aaron and Perry Center to host them? I mean, I'd love to do a multiplayer stream with those guys. Yeah, it'd be great. I have no idea if it's possible. Sorry, I wish I had info that I could be like, yes, it'll happen, or no, it won't happen. But I just don't know. If I was asked to do it or asked for volunteers, I would volunteer. If they'd have me. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you could hear that. That was me putting the 3D printed objects back in their container. Oh, we're right at the end. Oh no. Oh no, I'm so good at this game. Oh, I took my eyes off the prize. Whoops. Oh, clumsy me. Look at this cute little cuddly boy, huh? Just having some fun, doing his stuff. Just enjoying life. Or unlife. If I am converting all bleed to poison, what do I see in the character's stats? Is it before or after conversion? After? I'm not sure. Take the item on and off and see what happens. Oh, if you're doing it in a skill tree, you won't see anything in the character sheet change. It'll be before. Jeff Bezos Acolyte skin idea? I don't think we can do that. Right at the end, somebody spoiled. So this is the last spoiler I've got for you today. I think it's a pretty good one, but I'm going to let it run for a little minute. Sorry if that's been asked before. Will there be improvements to performance issues in the future? Absolutely. Lots of performance improvements coming. All over the place. Alright. Well, that'll just about do it for me here today. I hope you had fun. I know I did. I will be seeing you next time. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out. If you have any more questions that I missed, or just things you thought of after the fact, please head on over to our Discord, Reddit, forums, lots of places we hang out and ask questions. Lots of great people in the community. They'll be able to answer them for you too. Yeah, if you just want to come say hi, we're there too. Yeah, no big deal. Definitely stalling here for a minute here. Let's just go see. You know, I always like to just toss the stream to someone who's playing, but I like there to be at least a video screen up, and I try not to repeat week to week. But I only see one with a video screen up. At least some sort of interaction. People can say hi. So yeah, have a great week. We'll see you later. Stay safe on Halloween. Drink lots of water. Bye.